Chapter 71, Diverting the Trouble to the East, 100-Step Flying Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Compared to the others' complicated schemes, Xianxia's plan was simple. He'd be happy to watch Li Ming fight them, but a 2-on-1 beatdown? Not so much. He knew Li Ming was strong, and the Qi family had plenty of tough guys too. A group beatdown would just be boring for him, Li Ming considered this. It sounded better than his original plan. Hey, why not take out this kid first? A Qi family member suggested, his voice low and menacing. Qi Ming hesitated, but Lin Sun chimed in. He turned us down before and took off on his own. Bet he's after that top-grade evil spirit. He's strong. I bet he's worried about us, so we gotta be careful. Better to off him, then crush their leader and grab the prize. That settled it for Qi Ming. A look of determination hardened his face. Alright, let's not overthink this. Everyone, all in. We take him down together. General Xue, how about we trash this black armor punk, then we can have our own rumble. That everyone in the Qi family nodded in agreement. So what if he was strong? He was only at the 7th level of condensation gang. They had 6 Jindan masters. They couldn't lose. Yeah. You dare defy the Qi family? You've got another thing coming. Looks like we're taking out a genius today. Blame yourself for not knowing what's good for you. That they channeled their true energy and charged at Li Ming. This ought to be a good show. Xianxia immediately switched sides, abandoning any thought of helping Li Ming. General Xue, Li Ming said angrily, you're not exactly a man of your word, are you? Xianxia sneered. All's fair in war. Besides, you never agreed, did you? You just weren't quick enough. Ha ha ha, Li Ming smirked. Is that so? That he gave Xianxia no chance to reply. Swinging his long sword, a beam of swordlight shot out, crackling with power. You dare! Xianxia exploded. He unleashed terrifying power, amplified by the blood evil spirit, making him as tough as any true Qi-powered warrior. He condensed the blood evil spirit into his palm and slammed it down on the approaching sword. Bang! His palm slammed into the Yaoyue knife, the incredible force interrupting Li Ming's attack. Guessed that story about him being a 4th-grade magical power master when he was alive was true. Even with a wrecked body, he's still a powerhouse, Li Ming thought, feeling the pressure and the blood evil spirit bearing down on him. The Qi family's attacks came next, dozens of them. Li Ming reacted fast. He wasn't about to take those head-on. He dodged them, weaving through the air, wind and clouds, combined with his wind-riding abilities to create a series of afterimages. Bang! The ground shook violently where Li Ming had been standing, large craters appearing in the wake of the barrage. Some of the Qi family's attacks accidentally hit Xianxia, dust flew, coating him. Li Ming pushed his body skills to the limit, like a bird evading attacks. Xianxia's face darkened. He roared. Alright, then, come here and take your medicine. That the scene had gone completely off the rails. He was embarrassed, and he couldn't help but feel rage building inside. You're the first one to make me look like a fool. That he raised his halberd and slashed it at the Qi family. The blow was like a thunderclap. They reacted fast, blocking it together. Damn it, how did things turn like this? That the Qi family was ticked off. They'd wanted to eliminate a competitor, but ended up earning Xianxia's ire. Wait. Before they could speak, Xianxia attacked again. Boom! This time, they reacted even faster, and the blow landed on the ground. The entire ground trembled, cracks spreading like spiderwebs. Forget it, let's just grab that evil spirit, Qi Ming ordered, and they ignored Li Ming and focused on Xianxia. The 6 golden cores attacked with incredible force. Xianxia couldn't hold them off, and his mood went south. Since you want to do this by numbers, then. Xianxia's 12 guards, eliminate them. At his roar, the 12 Xianxia army members, who had only been watching, stepped forward. They were shrouded in bloody evil spirit. Yes, sir. They responded. Xianxia couldn't command all his soldiers at once. His power was limited, the secret realm had an upper limit on difficulty, the lower limit depended on Xianxia's mood. Boom! 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 The two sides fought, making a mess. 3 Jindan masters teamed up to fight Xianxia, while the others fought the 12 Shuoshan guards. The Qi family members were skilled and possessed extraordinary innate true Qi. They were also masters of combined attacks. Xianxia was strong and had impressive halberd skills, but they were evenly matched. Li Ming grew impatient. This blood-killing secret realm was the opponent's home turf. The Shuoshan army's power was endless, and their true Qi and stamina would only be slowly worn down. They also had to worry about ambushes from other warriors. Li Ming gathered his true Qi and roared. "We've come this far, let's use the secret technique." The Qi family's Jindan masters unleashed powerful strength. The 3 Qi family members began to burn their lifespans. They had to defeat Xianxia at all costs. These Jindan grandmasters relied on the Qi family. If they didn't obey, they wouldn't get paid when they left. Outsiders might think a Jindan grandmaster was powerful, but to these families, they were nothing. Talented people were everywhere, but they lacked resources. The Qi family only trained obedient warriors. Basically, too many people wanted to be dogs for the Qi family. It was just a matter of whether the family would accept them. If this worked out, the Qi family would give them compensation to win their loyalty. Xianxia's injuries worsened. That's it. Li Ming was thrilled. The top-grade evil spirit was within reach, but at that moment, a sound cut through the air. Everyone had a bad feeling. Swish! A cold light streaked through the air. It targeted the Qi family's Jindan grandmaster. "What is that?" Li Ming's pupils shrank. The light was a long sword wrapped in true Qi, flying at incredible speed. The sword arrived before the sound. The tip of the sword spun like a black hole, swallowing everything. The air around it warped and distorted. Li Ming didn't know who sent the sword, but he was terrified. He didn't dare stop it, and he knew he couldn't. He found the sword's target and his face changed. "Get out of the way!" He shouted to the 3 people fighting Xianxia. Before he finished, the sword struck. The 3 Qi family members threw all caution to the wind. Innate true Qi exploded from them, connecting with the world. They couldn't dodge, so they would brace for it. The Qi family had endless martial arts. This defense technique was mandatory for their guards. Tian Gang protects the body. The protective Qi turned into a mountain, solidifying into a barrier. The flying sword struck the center, spinning, its force waning, as if it had been stopped. Chapter 72, Feast of Harvest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing their flying sword attack fail, the Qi family trio breathed a collective sigh of relief, but then, whoosh, whoosh, 2 more flying swords slammed into their defenses, tearing right through what they thought was an impenetrable barrier. It was a hastily thrown together defense, and a moment of weakness cost them dearly. Boom, star. Cheetah, caught in the middle, took the full brunt of the attack. 3 flying swords, stacked one on top of the other, drilled into his chest. The rotating blades shredded his protective energy like paper, piercing his flesh and sending blood and gore flying. He was sent hurtling backwards, crashing to the ground in a heap. Arg! His scream still hung in the air as Cheetah bit the dust. Headshot Cheetah, plus 25,000 life energy. Fate reversal activated, potential to yoink. Bro! Chi Air and Chi San stood there, stunned. It wasn't until they were splattered with blood and chunks of meat that the reality hit them and they screamed in anguish. The rest of the Qi family could only stare in disbelief. 1 minute they were riding high, the next they'd lost one of their best. Xianxia just grinned, appearing behind the remaining 2 like he'd teleported. His massive Fang Tian halberd, crackling with dark energy, came crashing down. Qi San, with a lightning-fast reaction, shoved the still-recovering Qi Air out of the way, saving his skin. But Xianxia wasn't about to let up. He reversed the halberd mid-swing and sliced Qi San in half. Cleanly bisected, assist on Xianxia's kill, plus 5,000 life energy. Damn it! Li Ming, watching from a distance, cursed under his breath. The rest of the crew were still duking it out with the Blood Mountain guards. Crap. Li Ming sucked in a breath and glared at the black-armored figure across the battlefield. Even though Qi De, Qi Er, and Qi San were just his bodyguards, they were practically family, his most trusted allies. They'd been loyal for years, and they were all incredibly talented. He'd spent the last 2 years pushing them to their limits, all for this chance at grabbing that top-shelf evil energy. Now, one of them was gone, snuffed out by 3 damn flying swords, his body a mangled mess. And Qi San, a clean, but equally brutal, cut. Heads up. Li Ming roared, trying to shake everyone out of their shock. They'd underestimated the guy in the black armor. How the hell could he pull off an attack like that? Could he have been popping off shots this entire time? The thought sent a shiver down his spine. Who is he? Lin Sun was panicking. Was that black-armored guy Li Ming? Didn't he just use swords? That flying sword had way more punch than his arrows. What the hell was going on? He was questioning everything. But he quickly pulled himself together, focused, and held his breath. Even while fighting the Blood Mountain guards, he kept his eyes peeled, scanning the battlefield. He was keeping a close watch on the black figure. As an archer, he knew he needed to stay calm and figure out the guy's shooting lanes and timing, *whoosh*. Another flying sword came screaming through the air. Lin Sun reacted instantly, barely dodging the blow. Phew! He gasped, sweat soaking his back. Li Ming saw that he was on high alert and decided not to waste any more energy on sneak attacks. He'd been fighting on the outskirts with the Blood Mountain army, but his eyes were glued to the action in the center. When the situation took a turn, he jumped at the chance. He liked to think of this move as his 100-step flying sword, but really it was just a twist on hidden weapons. He figured out the technique himself, nothing fancy. The power came from the true energy he poured into it and a little bit of divine mojo. The downside was obvious: it drained his energy, gave away his position, and became a lot harder to land once they knew he was coming. Seeing Li Ming out in the open, the Qi family's eyes burned with rage. They broke away from the fight. Kill that bastard first. Xianxia waved the Blood Mountain army to hold their fire, content to watch the Qi family swarm Li Ming. He didn't particularly like Li Ming, but he had to admit he'd been a big help. He wasn't about to get killed just yet. But helping Li Ming? No way. Everyone knew Xianxia was shady. Charge! Several Qi family members peeled off and zeroed in on Li Ming. The first to reach him, a skinny dude, threw a haymaker. A blue light burst from his fist, his true energy morphing into a venomous snake, radiating a frigid aura. Clearly, he was a fist-fighting master who'd fused his martial intent with the essence of his technique. One punch from me, even a golden core master will have their blood frozen solid, their insides turned to ice. The skinny guy's eyes gleamed with malice. He was a stone-cold killer, having iced a golden core master back when he was still in the Ninggang realm. If the guy in the black armor dared to block this punch, he'd be screwed. The skinny dude smirked. He'd clawed his way up from nothing, and he'd pulled some seriously dirty tricks along the way. Li Ming's plan was amateur hour. Bang! Li Ming met his fist head-on. But compared to the skinny guy's cold and venomous snake, Li Ming's punch was a roaring dragon, his true chi morphing into a demonic beast. The phantom venomous snake faced off against the man-eating monster. The skinny guy felt like he'd just slammed into a runaway freight train. His iron fist, which had been unbreakable until now, was suddenly a joke. Boom, his ears rang. His whole arm was exploding. Flesh tore, tendons snapped, and bones cracked. What the hell kind of power is this? The skinny guy was horrified. Then, a searing pain ripped through his chest. Even as he was dying, he managed to choke out, "You're dead too." He glared at Li Ming, convinced that no matter how strong he was, his cold 7-killing fist was the kryptonite to those muscle-bound body-refining warriors. When yin and yang were out of whack, even God couldn't save you. Boom! The next moment, Li Ming unleashed a torrent of blood and qi, radiating like a miniature sun. He used his left hand to deflect a sword strike coming from behind, and with his right, he unleashed a saber strike. The roar of a green dragon echoed across the battlefield. He slammed into another golden core grandmaster, instantly crippling him. These guys weren't fresh. They'd burned through most of their true qi and stamina, and they were still paying the price for all the desperate power-ups they'd used earlier. He was just exploiting their weakness. How, it didn't affect you? The skinny guy just stared, mind blown. How could some punk from the condensation realm crack his technique? Li Ming just grinned and sheathed his blade. He'd just signed the skinny guy's death warrant. He'd been played, slayed XXX, plus 24,000 life energy. Reversed fate, potential for snatching the technique. Chapter 73, The Evil Star Li Ming, seems to be crazy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Ming wasn't about to explain he was some kind of shape-shifting Hunyuan spirit body, boom. Another iron palm came flying, and while Li Ming was busy fending off the other attacks, it slammed right into his chest. He didn't even flinch. Instead, he seized the opportunity, his left hand morphing into a claw, and ripped, swish. He caught the attacker, tearing skin and flesh. Blood bloomed, then, the claws snapped back into a fist, boom. An enormous force exploded outwards, the punch rippling like a tidal wave. The attacker's bones shattered instantly, his body twisting grotesquely. He went flying backward, crashing to the ground in a pool of blood. What the hell is this monster? The remaining fighters were terrified. Li Ming had been tearing through them non-stop, and he was still standing. How? Wasn't he tired? He looked as fresh as when he started. Who is this guy? He's tougher than any young martial saint I've ever seen. Their bravado vanished, replaced by despair. They were caught between a rock and a hard place. How could they possibly win? Come on. Keep fighting. Li Ming, on the other hand, was having the time of his life. His movements were getting faster, more complex. His hands were blades, his fists thunder, and he was drawing on every martial art he knew. Despite the cuts and bruises covering his body, he showed no sign of pain or fatigue as he battled the Qi family. His initial all-out assault was designed to take down their leader, sending a message, one punch now saves 100 later. He usually played it safe, he rarely took reckless risks, never cornered himself, but this time, he'd slaughtered countless Shuashan soldiers, then tangled with Xianxia, launching flying swords and brawling with everyone else. So why was he getting stronger? The answer was simple, his unyielding martial spirit and his own hype. You never know what you're capable of until you push yourself. Qi Ming stared at Li Ming, who seemed determined to die fighting, and for a moment he didn't know who was tormenting whom. Li Ming's ambush had cost him 2 loyal followers, and he'd naturally wanted to tear him limb from limb. He'd assumed no matter how strong a warrior was, it was impossible to beat 4 Jindan Grandmasters and several Condensation Realm Masters. But in the short time since the fighting started, they'd lost a Jindan Grandmaster, and several Condensation Realm Masters were seriously injured, far exceeding his expectations. The remaining fighters were losing their nerve. None of them wanted to tango with Li Ming, the madman. Qi Ming took a deep breath. He knew things couldn't continue like this. If they did, they wouldn't get the supreme evil spirit, they'd all be dead. Hold on, why don't we call it a draw and go for the supreme evil spirit? Qi Ming forced a smile, trying to sound reasonable. Everyone except Qi Er stayed silent. They were done fighting, they'd been fighting all day, and the battle with the Blood Mountain army had already drained them. Facing off against this demon, they wouldn't have enough lives. Is that all the Qi family has got? You fight when you want, quit when you want. You think you own this blood-killing secret realm? Li Ming mocked, playing his part. They were scared and wavering, and obviously didn't want to fight. He needed to build momentum. The thrill of battle was intoxicating. His blood was pumping, and the urge to fight was overwhelming. Besides, these people were walking, talking energy sources. How could he let them go? Every kill counted. You bastard. I'll make you pay. Seeing his enemy gloating, Qi Er's eyes blazed with anger. The injuries he'd been suppressing flared up, and he coughed up blood. More than the supreme evil spirit, Qi Er wanted to avenge his brothers by killing Li Ming. Qi Ming sighed, doing nothing to stop him. Li Ming was like a man possessed, and he couldn't bring himself to fight him. The guy seemed immune to pain, and was more than willing to trade blows. If it kept going, both sides would be crippled. Don't worry, you'll be joining your family soon. Li Ming saw that only Qi Er had stepped forward. He wasn't surprised. A split second later, Li Ming moved. He was a blur, and only an afterimage marked his passing as he closed the distance. His moon-inviting blade was wreathed in black light as he brought it down. The air screamed. Qi Er reacted instantly, exploding with true energy. His muscles swelled, ripping through his clothes. His upper body was bare, corded with muscle, and his eyes burned with rage. He channeled all his focus into a punch. His power was immense, as if he could shatter mountains. The others gasped. Qi Ming frowned. He knew Qi Er was fighting for his life, but he'd already pushed himself past his limit using an explosive secret technique. Even if he blew himself up, what could he hope to accomplish? Even if he killed Li Ming, his martial arts would be ruined. Boom. Both men staggered back, but Li Ming recovered instantly, raising his sword and attacking again. Qi Er's eyes widened. He roared and threw another punch, but it was no use against Li Ming's relentless assault. The blade was drawing blood. Li Ming's eyes were cold, and he slashed through the air. Qinglong Nine-turning sword. The Qinglong appeared. A phantom of the azure dragon materialized, filling the air with its savage power. Qi Er screamed as the blade tore through him, leaving a gaping wound across his chest. Puff! Qi Er spat out a mouthful of blood and stumbled, fear twisting his face as he looked at Li Ming. How is this? Before he could finish, the sword flashed again. Thud! Killed Qi Er, gained 25,000 life energy. Reverse fate activated. Seize entry. Nearby, Qi Ming watched Li Ming, the sword still in his hand, looking as strong as ever. He was stunned, his heart pounding. This guy was too strong. How could anyone be this strong at such a young age? How could someone like this end up in a backwater like this? I'm not even in the same league. Qi Ming muttered, his confidence crumbled. He'd thought he was a genius. Maybe not as good as those monsters on the top lists, but coming here with his buddies, he was sure he could grab this top-grade evil spirit. Qi Ming watched Li Ming stride toward them, fear clutching his heart. He forced himself to speak respectfully. Brother, there's no need for more killing. If we keep fighting, we'll both lose. Why don't we join forces? If you help me get the top-grade evil spirit, I'll forget all this. He was swallowing his pride. He even regretted fighting this demon. Li Ming was expressionless, silent. He moved like a ghost, slipping past the Qi family and grabbing Lin Sun, who was hiding in the back. What? Lin Sun felt himself lifted into the air as Li Ming's hand clamped around his head. You really are Li Ming. Lin Sun's heart sank. He knew what was coming. Li Ming's voice was like ice. Congratulations, you guessed right. Here's your reward. His grip tightened, lifting Lin Sun off the ground. Stop. I can. Lin Sun's feet dangled, and he struggled, begging for mercy. Before he could finish, Li Ming unleashed his true energy, twisting Lin Sun's head. His struggle stopped, and his body went limp. Killed Lin Sun, gained 5,000 life energy. Reverse fate activated. Seize entry. Chapter 74. You have a grudge against me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing that Li Ming wasn't hiding who he was, he just ignored them and brutally offed Lin Sun. Qi Ming's heart jumped into his throat. He wasn't just pissed that Li Ming had killed Lin Sun, he was terrified. Li Ming, you iced Lin Sun. We don't have any beef, so can we just let it slide? Qi Ming said, his face white as a sheet. Li Ming's eyes were cold. Why can't we have beef? I've killed a bunch of you, which makes me your enemy. His thinking was simple. Instead of letting these guys walk, why not off them and turn them into life energy? After all, whether he wanted to or not, they were already mortal enemies. And when Li Ming decided to enter this secret realm of bloodshed, these guys were all going to be competition, one less rival to deal with later. Instantly, Li Ming was in motion. The warrior who'd perfected the condensation gang realm standing closest to him got blasted by a punch from Li Ming. His muscles and bones were instantly wrecked, then Li Ming slashed him with his sword, a fatal move. The guy's blood splattered everywhere, and he dropped dead on the spot. Killed XXX and gained 4,500 life energy. Reverse fate activated, entry can be seized. Li Ming's cruelty and ruthlessness caught everyone off guard, and this sudden attack sent shockwaves through the group. Seeing Li Ming's cold-blooded killer intent, packing the aura of death himself, ready to strike the next guy. You're way out of line. You really think we're scared of you? Let's get him. The Qi family members were all top dogs in their own right, well-known experts back home. Even though they'd been reluctant to fight to the death before, Li Ming didn't seem to give a damn. Like a wolf in a henhouse, running wild, Qi Ming grimaced. He was born into the Qi family and had seen more prodigies than these guys. The characters who shook things up were like world-renowned legends. But now that it was crunch time, he didn't hesitate. Kill him. He yelled, sword energy ripped through the air, boom. Boom, star. Li Ming saw this, moved, and blocked the Jindan level attacks with his sword. But when faced with the Ningdong level attacks, he had to take them head-on. Even with blood splattering on his arm, he couldn't ignore it. He pressed the attack that a wave was a punch, roar, star. The punch was earth-shattering. It connected right with Qi Ming. Qi Ming's expression changed as he backed off. He knew Li Ming's insane power was comparable to a body-refining master. If he went toe-to-toe, he was toast. Li Ming, if you off me, the Qi family will come after you. Like they wouldn't if I didn't. Li Ming scoffed. Seeing the other guy was timid and guarded by two golden core masters, he didn't chase him. Instead, he closed in on the others, using fists, legs, and palms. Before long, some were seriously injured, and others were flat on their back, dying. Even though there were plenty of Qi family members there, none of them had that diehard spirit. Most were just talking tough, and once they saw their buddies getting wrecked, their hearts sank. If Li Ming hadn't been so brutal, they might have bailed before the fight even started. After all, Li Ming had already taken out a couple of Jindan grandmasters. How could these Ningdong realm warriors even think about taking on Li Ming? Like when an army collapses, and they retreat, seeing these guys didn't even team up, just fought solo, Li Ming's killing intent grew, and every strike was meant to kill. He hardly even bothered to block their attacks, trading blows. Every time his attack was headed towards Qi Ming, intentionally or not, the two Jindan masters had to play defense and couldn't go on the offensive, and how could a regular Ningdong realm warrior stand against Li Ming? These two golden core masters were being overly cautious. Trying to keep Qi Ming alive, they couldn't save the others while Li Ming kept racking up kills. Before long, only 3 were left standing. Li Ming's energy was finite. If these guys weren't so afraid of dying and just swarmed Li Ming, he'd have a hard time winning. You cheat, you're so shameless, you're just a faker. The last 2 Jindan realm masters of the Qi family roared, trying to keep Qi Ming alive. The 2 had been too timid, and seeing the situation, they were full of fury. Warriors have to fight the heavens. Fight the earth. Fight humans. Between life and death, who has time for etiquette? If you can't reach the sky, seek eternal life, and reach the top, there is no point in being alive. And you are nothing more than a stepping stone for me. Li Ming's face was expressionless, his tone grave. Qi Ming gritted his teeth. Don't worry about me, we have to kill him, or we're all dead. Got it. The 2 golden core masters burst out with their true energy. They let out a long yell, and were in front of Li Ming. Both practiced incredible martial arts. One had flame-covered qi on his sword, and the other had lightning flashing on his palm. Today, you die. Come on. So what if you have your full strength? It is nothing more than that. Li Ming looked at them and laughed. He took a step forward, and the ground shook. The long sword swung out, boom, star. The Azure Dragon 9 turned sword, slashed. You think you're invincible just because you made the human list? The master Qi Yan, who controlled flames, roared, and the sword came down. The flame turned into a pillar, and its high heat seemed to melt everything. It collided with the Yaoyue's sword, boom, the air grew turbulent, and the air flows swept across. They were evenly matched, and backed up a couple steps, but before Li Ming could steady himself, Qi Kong, his palm was like a lightning sword. Instantly, he flashed behind Li Ming and pointed directly at his head. Li Ming reacted quickly, turned, and caught the lightning palm with his right arm. Even though his shoulder was bleeding, his eyes didn't flinch. Suddenly, the usually calm emu azure dragon Qi in Li Ming's body exploded, and his left fist connected. Boom! The punch connected, and the fist and the air exploded with a bang, and the force was like a crushing mountain, heavy and brutal. What? The force behind the punch was so intense that Qi Kong's pupils shrank. He felt that Li Ming's punch was packed with infinite blood and energy. It felt like a human couldn't unleash that sort of power. Feeling the pressure, he covered his arms to try to block. When the fist hit his arms, he realized his mistake. A cannonball connected, causing bones to break, bang, there was a dull thud, followed by the sound of his arms snapping and bones shattering. He rolled across the ground. It took a moment to recover with Qi, but he was in poor shape, covered in blood, and his right arm was broken. In an instant, Li Ming had taken the upper hand. This scene was terrifying. Li Ming's eyes hardened, and he grabbed a spiritual sword, then fired it, unstoppable. Young master! Qi Yan cried out. Qi Ming recovered, and circulated his qi, and swung his sword to block. He blocked the attack, but he was forced to stop. Li Ming's eyes focused, and he was ready to strike. He swung his sword, and the blade sliced through. With the divine power, it was like a meteor. Qi Ming was instantly cut in half by the sword, and blood went everywhere. He looked at the body on the ground in disbelief, with terror, despair. After a moment, he fell silent, killed Qi Ming and gained 6,000 life energy. Reverse fate is activated, entry can be seized. Chapter 75, Thunder and Fire Spirit, the sword strikes with a sharp movement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qi Yan, fists clenched, roared, Li Ming, you've got some nerve. You kill Qi Ming, and the Qi family will come for you. Seeing Qi Ming fall, he felt a surge of anger mixed with fear. He was the guard on this trip, and with Qi Ming dead, the Qi family wouldn't let him off the hook, but his threats only fueled Li Ming's killing intent. Name, Qi Yan. Realm, Jindan 2nd level. Entries, red flame spirit body, blue, sword skills, green, true meaning of sword, green, comprehension, green, strong Qi and blood, white, clinging to life, white. Name, Qi Kong. Realm, Jindan 2nd level. Entries, lightning spirit body, blue, true meaning of thunder, green, silver bone. Green, fist and palm mastery, green, bravery, white, recklessness, gray. These two were no pushovers. They both had solid foundations and broke through to the Jindan realm the moment they entered the secret realm. With their family backing, they even reached the 2nd level. Really, you should be thinking about your own survival. Li Ming shook his head, raised his sword, and his face was impassive. They knew his true identity, so he couldn't leave any witnesses. Even if suspicion fell on him later, he'd deal with it then. The path of martial arts was forward or nothing. One step ahead could lead to a bottomless pit, but one step back was a fatal drop. Li Ming's blatant contempt sent Qi Yan over the edge. At this point, Qi Yan growled, I have to kill you to avenge him. Is that so? Then you can die first. Li Ming's voice was a sharp wind, and his next step was aimed right at Qi Yan, but then, he shifted, appearing next to the injured Qi Kong. With focused intent, the black sword crackled with energy as he swung down. A faint dragon's roar echoed. Don't underestimate me. The blade was a blinding flash, and Qi Kong felt his eardrums throb. The raw terror of death didn't break him, but triggered a lightning-fast reaction. He channeled every ounce of his true energy and slammed his palm out, a bolt of lightning flickering in the air. It was Thunder Palm, a signature move he'd spent years perfecting. Crap, The instant Qi Yan saw the knife change direction, he knew he was too late. All he could do was unleash a fiery red energy blast from his sword. The heat nearly scorched the air, boom, the thunder palm and the long sword collided. But the knife intent was a terrifying force of nature, like Mount Tai crashing down. It wasn't just some condensation realm attack. Qi Kong's eyes widened, completely overwhelmed, boom, the world shook as the blast wave ripped outwards, the look of terror froze on Qi Kong's face, replaced by the echo of a dragon's roar, whoosh, another flash of light, his head hit the ground. Killed Qi Kong and gained 23,000 life energy. Initiate fate reversal to seize entries. The blast of heat and energy followed, but Li Ming jumped back, out of range. Impressive, he said, looking at Qi Kong's near-incinerated body. Pity your sword work is slow. And you're a little harsh, turning him to dust like that. Qi Yan was already shaky, and Li Ming's words pushed him over the edge. He roared, I'm going to kill you, boom, red energy surged, the air crackled, and Qi Yan launched a blast at Li Ming. Then, with a powerful step, he spun around to escape. Li Ming laughed. Running away, he hadn't expected these two to be so close, but Qi Yan, who had sworn to fight to the death, was trying to flee, Li Ming stepped forward with his sword, dispersed Qi Yan's weak blast, and gave chase. Li Ming's sword came down like a meteor. With all his sword intent focused, it was an unstoppable force, capable of cleaving mountains. His sword intent is stronger than before, Qi Yan was shocked. He was called the Flame-Mad Blade, a master swordsman in his own right, with his own sword intent. But he couldn't match the level of what was in front of him. How had this young man tempered his body to a Jindan Grandmaster level and reached such heights in swordsmanship? Thinking, he raised his red sword to parry, clang, the metal collision deafened the battlefield. The sharp sword energy ripped across the ground, creating cracks, bang. Qi Yan held on with years of training, but the ground beneath him cracked and collapsed. He remembered trading blows with Li Ming. Now alone, he was being crushed. Shouldn't the higher realm crush the lower, not the other way around? Red flame mad knife, Qi Yan screamed, forcing every bit of energy into his body, overdrawing his life. His face paled, and blood trickled from his mouth. Roar, red flame morphed into a tiger, its roar shaking the mountains. But the space in front of Li Ming seemed to ripple as a green dragon crashed through everything, its roar deafening. Li Ming had perfected the gathering power chapter of the Green Dragon 9-turn knife, making this move far more potent, boom, the two attacks collided, creating a visible shockwave that shattered metal. Scattered sword energy turned to lightning on the ground, blasting Blood Mountain army soldiers in the distance. Qi Yan was exhausted, and in a cloud of smoke, a fierce fist appeared. The roar of the bull demon echoed. Qi Yan's eyes widened, but he was too late. The fist punched through his chest, creating a gaping hole, and his feet lifted off the ground like a broken kite. Bang. Li Ming heard no notification. Still, he sighed and followed. The sword fell, a 3-foot blade of light aimed at the back of Qi Yan's neck. No. Too weak to dodge, Qi Yan could only offer a final, unwilling roar. Swish, the blade flashed, and the severed head and hot blood rained down. Killed Qi Yan and gained 25,000 life energy. Fate reversal activated, seizing entries. Huff. Li Ming was panting. His willpower was all that kept him from collapsing. He'd taken down the entire Qi family force, which had cost him dearly, but the results were worth it. Nearly 200,000 life energy, plus a long list of entries to choose from. The fatigue vanished, replaced by exhilaration. Not bad, not bad. Xianxia, who had watched everything, clapped and laughed. Li Ming was even more powerful and terrifying than he had imagined. He was brave, resourceful, and he found the opponent's weakness, trading injuries for kills. He'd worn them down and pulled off a comeback. You won, but according to the rules, you still have to get past me, Xianxia said calmly. I'll let you rest before our fight. Li Ming was relieved. His current state was awful. If Xianxia attacked now, he wouldn't stand a chance. Even at full strength, he'd probably lose. Xianxia had crushed a dozen people, holding back. Now, he could rest and count his winnings. Chapter 76 Red Entry, Spiritual Awakening. You are listening at novelfull.audio. We gathered up the loot. Li Ming sat down on the bloody ground, crossed his legs, and immediately started downing elixirs to recover his energy and heal his wounds. He swallowed them all at once, then focused his energy on digesting them. To anyone watching, it would have looked like he was deep in thought, but his mind was actually diving into the system panel. He started reading the messages, one by one. System, sort this stuff and see if there's anything good I can use. If I can fuse entries of the same type, it'll take a lot less life energy to level them up. With my current strength, taking down Xianxia is going to be tough. They'd clashed before, briefly, but he'd gotten a feel for him. The guy hadn't been going all out, so, instead of hoping he holds back in this final fight, it's better to find a way to give myself a real edge. Red flame spirit body, blade body, sword body, thunder spirit body, gold bones, blood bones, iron bones, knife skills, sword skills, spear skills, true meaning of the sword, true meaning of the blade, true meaning of the fist, giant strength, tiger strength, ox strength. Looking at the list, Li Ming started thinking hard. Instead of grabbing a bunch of low-level stuff, or things that just sound good, it's better to focus on entries of the same type and try to evolve them into red entries. Gray, white, and green are what you'd expect from a regular guy. Most warriors have them. Even if they aren't born with them, they can get them with enough work, but they're limited. You'd be lucky to break through to the golden core stage. Blue is superhuman territory, reserved for a select few geniuses. They can easily become masters. Even red is beyond the reach of most people. Some folks might go their whole lives without ever seeing anyone with an entry like that. That's the stuff of true martial arts prodigies. The real deal, the talent of a martial saint. Red and purple, on the other hand, are freak of nature level. Having something like that is enough to dominate an entire era. It means you've got a real shot at becoming something beyond a martial saint. As for orange and gold entries, those are on a whole different level. After all, there are people in this world who are more than just martial saints. They live for thousands of years, and dynasties rising and falling are just blips on their radar. Those entries are probably meant for them. Even if someone's born with one, they're a once-in-a-millennium kind of talent. Like me, Li Ming, except, my golden entry, while it's got unlimited potential, doesn't seem to do much for my actual fighting ability. I've got a bunch of entries now, so I don't need to level them all up one by one. I'll run into more geniuses down the line, and they'll have the stuff I need. For now, it's better to upgrade the strongest entry with the most potential. After the fusion, the Hunyuan spirit body has got unlimited potential, and the benefits are huge. For physical entries, I can just merge them all. Plus, improving my physique gives me a boost across the board. It not only lets me learn anything without any problem, but it also makes me a better fighter. Li Ming made up his mind. Prioritize merging physical entries. Instantly, beams of light flowed into the Hunyuan spirit body, making its blue glow pulse. Now to pick out the blue entries that are actually useful. Li Ming picked a couple of good ones. Magic shooting, blue, your archery is incredibly skilled. You can pierce a willow leaf from 100 paces and never miss your mark. You have improved talent for bow and arrow martial arts. Healing, green, your physical body is incredibly durable. Minor injuries heal quickly, and even serious wounds will mend over time. Energy, green, you are fierce like a dragon and a tiger, brimming with energy. Spiritual eyes, green, excellent eyesight, able to see through illusions and break delusions. 2 uses of one mind, green, exceptional mind, capable of handling 2 tasks at once. Li Ming randomly picked some others and merged them, but they weren't that useful. Now I've got plenty of life energy, so leveling up the Hunyuan spirit body shouldn't be a problem. Li Ming focused his mind, he poured in almost all of his life energy, and a red light burst forth. New entries emerged spontaneously. Hunyuan spirit body, red, Hunyuan spirit is the origin of all vitality. It embraces all things and reaches to the heavens. It is the most powerful spirit body in the world. As the entry leveled up, a chaotic aura transformed into black and white energy, engulfing Li Ming completely. Hun Yuan, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, and 3 becomes all things, from 9 back to 1, that is the true path. In the darkness, Li Ming felt like he was floating in chaos, his mind empty, face to face with the universe. Earth-shattering changes were happening inside his body. He was being cleansed and reforged. The Imu Qinglong Qi in his Qi Si gradually changed from its original blue, turning completely black and white. When Li Ming opened his eyes, he felt clear-headed and realized a lot. His old pill condensation method wasn't right for him anymore. His Qi should now be called Hunyuan Qi, something unmatched in history. Maybe the wisdom root had something to do with it. After his spirit body awakened, he instinctively knew the path he should take. As if it was a divine gift, he would forge the ultimate golden core, the Hunyuan golden core. Seeing Li Ming change like this, Xue Tianqing murmured to himself. Who is this guy? That he had the memories of the 4th grade supernatural power realm from his previous life, so he knew a thing or two. But he saw Li Ming surrounded by yin and yang energies that evolved into chaos, with spiritual energy swirling above his head like a vortex. He knew right away that the guy had just gotten some kind of amazing opportunity. But, how is that even possible? This is the blood-killing secret realm, not some place where legendary powers are passed down. How did he do it? Xue Tianqing started to doubt everything he knew. Has it been 10,000 years in the outside world? Is the martial arts world not what I remember? But it was all right. Before, Li Ming was strong, but not a monster. He was good at everything, but not great at anything. Now, the aura around him had gotten his attention. He'd originally planned to let him take the top-grade evil spirit, but now, it looked like he'd have to go all out to win. He couldn't help but look forward to the fight. After a while, Li Ming was back to his peak condition. He stood up and stretched, his bones cracking like thunder, his energy rising, a smile played on his lips. This upgrade had pushed his potential through the roof. General Xue, I've kept you waiting. Li Ming tested his newfound power, his voice deep. Xue Tianqing laughed, then his eyes turned serious. I won't hold back in this fight, so you better be ready. Li Ming nodded, just as serious. Let's give it everything we've got and leave no regrets. Then, let's fight. As soon as he said the words, Li Ming surged forward. Boom. With the help of wind and clouds, the wind became his ally. He left behind a trail of afterimages, moving faster than ever before. The Yaoyue blade rang out, as if happy for its master's progress. He slashed, cutting through the air, creating countless beams of light that raced toward Xue Tianqing. The wind howled and the dragons roared. Xue Tianqing frowned. The sheer power of the attack gave him pause. He couldn't afford to be cocky. Xue Tian Gfa, strike. Xue Tianqing roared, and the huge Fang Tianhua Ji, taller than a man, sliced through the air like the hand of creation. It aimed right for the Yaoyue blade in Li Ming's hand. Endless evil energy gathered on it. It collided with Li Ming's new Hun Yuan Qi. Both were incredibly strong, their power like that of a dragon and an elephant combined. Boom! The blade and the halberd crashed together, creating a deafening explosion that echoed across the battlefield and spread for miles. Chapter 77, Man and Sword Become One, Gaining Supreme Evil Spirit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This guy's gotten seriously strong. Xue Tianqing's arms felt numb. His opponent's strength had skyrocketed, giving him pause. This dude was seriously weird. He leveled up just like that, but any lingering doubts vanished. Blood Sky Halberd Technique, Blood Dragon Dance. Xue Tianqing blocked Li Ming's sword, bellowed, and swung his halberd, a malevolent aura swirling around him. This halberd, seemingly ordinary, locked onto Li Ming's vital energy. There was no dodging it. The halberd slammed down, like a mountain falling. Azure Dragon 9-turn sword, dragon raises its head. Li Ming focused 20% of his sword's essence into the blade, channeling his true energy. The dragon's shadow materialized. His opponent's skills were lacking, relying mostly on raw power and experience, but his Hunyuan Qi was formidable. Combined with his sword intent, it was a fight. The Yaoyue sword rose, meeting the blow. As if sensing Li Ming's resolve, the sword sang, clang. Swords and halberd met, sparks flying. Li Ming gritted his teeth, holding his ground against the crushing pressure, sinking into the earth. The former master of magical powers was now a secret realm examiner. Even with his reduced strength, his attacks were stronger than anything Li Ming had faced before. The halberd struck, but found no purchase. Xianxia showed no mercy, unleashing a second strike. The blood lines on his arms glowed with a seductive red, tapping into power he hadn't used in ages, fueling his excitement. Not bad, bring it on. He'd been besieged before, unable to use his full strength against multiple opponents. This one-on-one was a rush. This can't go on. Li Ming steadily blocked Xianxia's relentless attacks. He couldn't counterattack, barely holding on. He knew the opponent's halberd skills were better than his swordsmanship, and his strength was undiminished. His earlier advantages were gone. Thinking fast, Li Ming circulated his true energy, channeling rock-solid gang qi into the blade. He maxed out the restraint aspect, unleashing even greater power. The sword's energy intensified, and after being infused with sword intent, became a devastating force that sought to cut through everything. Clang! This time, the sword and halberd collided. It was different. Li Ming's sword, imbued with his complete focus, entered a state of unity with him, deflecting Xianxia's halberd and breaking his attack. Thump thump. Xianxia stumbled back several steps, thrown off by the blow. Nice! Xianxia exclaimed. He saw that while Li Ming's strength had grown immensely, his skills needed refining to fully harness it. He hadn't expected such a rapid breakthrough. What a prodigy. But not enough. Xianxia roared, gripping the halberd with both hands and swinging it, lifting the weight as if it were nothing, merging man and weapon. It was hard to believe such a heavy weapon could be wielded with such finesse. All right, Li Ming roared back. He could feel Xianxia's mastery over his own power. If he wanted to win, he needed to commit completely, abandoning any thoughts of self-preservation, ignoring the overwhelming dark energy. He just had to win. His eyes tracked Xianxia's every move, bloodshot with focus. He unleashed sword techniques, one after another. They might lack finesse, even be basic, but they were pure, instinctual. Each strike was perfect. His energy flowed seamlessly. Clang clang clang. The sounds of combat echoed across the battlefield, with explosions continuously erupting in the air. The radiating swords and evil auras left behind numerous craters across a 10-foot radius. Kill! Li Ming was so immersed in the fight that he forgot all about defense. Each blow was driven by pure killing intent, delivered without mercy. Not bad. Under Li Ming's relentless attack, Xianxia focused on parrying. He could feel Li Ming's blade growing faster, more powerful, more efficient. And Li Ming's aura was growing, ever rising. Kill! Xianxia roared again, unleashing his full power, muscles bulging, eyes bloodshot. They fought for dozens of rounds, but it was a short time. The evil aura around Xianxia had diminished, replaced by wounds. What flowed from them wasn't blood, but a dark, sinister energy. Li Ming's body was a canvas of wounds, some deep enough to expose bone, constantly bleeding. Then, his wounds began to heal, visibly mending. His Hunyuan spirit body continuously absorbed the surrounding spiritual energy to repair the damage. Combined with his healing ability, he was in a perpetual state of injury and recovery. Li Ming was fully immersed in this life-or-death battle. His sword intent began to ebb and flow freely. Martial arts was a high-level power, elusive but real. Although Li Ming had grasped 20% of the sword's intent, his execution remained rudimentary. A god-refining master, with their martial arts will, could kill with a glance, even destroy the enemy's spirit with a single move. On the other side, Xianxia was increasingly impressed. He knew his own power was limited, but Li Ming was steadily growing stronger. Now, the opponent was no weaker than he was. While it was by design, he couldn't help but be impressed. If such individuals continued to emerge within the human race, they were destined to stand at the peak of all species. Xianxia shouted. One final move to decide everything. As soon as the words were spoken, Xianxia's body glowed with blood, surrounded by a boundless evil aura. Cut! Faced with the incoming blow, Li Ming stood his ground, his eyes like ice, instantly unleashing all the energy within him. He held a sword in his left hand and a knife in his right. After raising the sword so far, it's time to put some effort into it. The intent of the sword intertwined with the intent of the blade, two forces that were completely opposite blended together. The result was terrifying, a majestic and terrifying aura erupted between them. Boom! Xianxia's halberd was blocked by his sword, but Li Ming's subsequent sword attack shattered Xianxia's halberd. With the singular blow, most of the evil aura on Xianxia's body vanished. That a ripping sound filled the air, and Xianxia's eyes were filled with relief. A diagonal gash appeared on his body, then slowly dissolved away. Blood rained down, leaving behind only a heart-sized crystal of blood, and with Xianxia's passing, the thousands of soldiers of the Blood Mountain army started to fade away as well. The vortex in the air also disappeared. The trial was finally over, only the final victor remained. Over 100 had come to fight for it, but now they were dying or running away. Only Li Ming remained standing, with his sword. It's over. Li Ming let out a long sigh of relief and quickly grabbed the precious crystal of dark energy. Looking at the violent evil energy contained in it, it is extremely pure and does not contain any impurities. This is truly a top-notch evil spirit. Suppressing his excitement, Li Ming quickly swallowed a few pills and fled. After all, now that the Blood Mountain army had disappeared, people would start to figure out what happened. He needed to find somewhere secluded so that he can quickly condense the evil. Chapter 78, Leaving the Secret Realm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Ming sat with his legs crossed, clutching a heart-shaped evil spirit crystal. Channeling evil energy was straightforward. Just fuse true chi and evil spirit in your chi center to break through. The evil spirit would purify and condense the true chi, creating a significant power gap between warriors who had channeled it and those who hadn't. Of course, even weak gang chi with channeled evil spirit couldn't match high-grade gang chi without it. Plus, the stronger the evil spirit, the harder it was to channel. If a warrior wasn't ready, the influx of evil spirit could easily lead to failure, resulting in at best, a failed attempt, and at worst, damaged meridians and a ruined foundation. That's why warriors usually stockpiled auxiliary materials beforehand. Li Ming was well prepared, channeling pills, evil spirit fruit, the works. He focused, circulating his true chi. The crystal in his hand dissolved into a ball of blood-red evil energy, as if drawn by a magnet, and poured into his mouth. He let the energy flow through his body and sink into his chi center. The normally chaotic evil spirit, upon encountering the black and white true chi, instantly became docile. Anyone watching would have been floored. Typically, channeling evil spirit involved a violent clash between gang chi and evil spirit, a total upheaval in the chi center. But in Li Ming's chi center, this top-grade evil spirit acted like a pushover, letting the Hunyuan true chi wrap it up. The fusion was seamless. Then Li Ming ate the evil spirit fruit, dramatically boosting the channeling speed. Now, he just had to follow through to finish the job. Back at the secret realm's exit, a crowd watched nervously, hoping their people would emerge safe. I wonder how many are buried this time. What a waste, an older man lamented. This was the former dean of the Zanyang County Martial Academy, who had trained countless warriors. Every time the secret realm opened, some familiar faces disappeared forever. Dying in the secret realm meant never even getting your body back. Captain Tong Qing, looking somber, said, "Yeah, every time it's the same, but that's the way of martial arts. Either you get stronger, or you get left behind." As they talked, flashes of light appeared, teleporting warriors out, most looking worse for wear. Fights were inevitable inside, and people rarely worried about appearances afterward. Some faces were bright with joy, others were weighed down with despair. The Qin family rushed to greet Qin Tian and Qin Yun, showering them with questions and concern, their relief obvious. Qin Tian beamed, clearly having found something valuable. He boasted about how he and Li Ming faced down hordes of evil blood beasts in the mine. Qin Tian claimed he breezed through the battle with his hands in his pockets, defeating the beasts with a flick of the wrist. Nearby, the Lin family looked grim. As more and more people emerged, it became clear that none of their people were coming back. The realization hit hard. Grandson Lin Songhai, over 70 years old, broke down in tears. The Lin family members around him nearly collapsed, holding their breath. Is he dead? Lin Songhai turned mechanically to his clan, his face blank. The old man's once tidy hair was now disheveled, old age had sapped his strength. Although his cultivation had reached the master level, he could not live for a few more decades, and his martial arts path had been cut off, and his sons were not promising, and it was hard for them to even cultivate to the master level. After much difficulty, a grandson named Lin Sun appeared. He was not only talented, but also had a good character. He created a name for himself and was ranked on the list of people with his family archery skills. Everyone in the Lin family knew that Lin Sun was the next generation of the clan leader designated by them, and everyone expected him to revitalize the Lin family. The young people in the clan even worshipped him as a god, but now, Lin Sun, the next clan leader, could not even see his body, and the few people who went in from the Lin family did not survive. Everyone present could feel the grief and anger contained in Lin Songhai's wooden expression at this time. Find out what happened inside. Now. Lin Songhai roared. The Lin family scattered, stopping the emerging warriors and offering to pay for information. The Qi family fared no better, seeing none of their members return hit them like a punch to the gut. Impossible. It's impossible. We sent so many. How could none of them make it back? Could there be another exit? That they refused to believe their masters and their young master were dead. A distinguished-looking man, overcome with grief, approached Tong Qing and asked in a low voice, "Captain Tong, is there any other exit from the secret realm?" That everyone turned, including Lin Songhai, their eyes filled with hope. Could there have been a transmission error? Seeing the rekindled hope, Tong Qing sighed. "I'm truly sorry for your loss. I know this is hard, but in all the times the secret realm has been opened, there's only ever been one exit. If they haven't come out yet, they're not coming back." The news crushed them. The man who asked the question flew into a rage. How could anyone dare kill my Qi family members? Though still in denial, the thought of facing his clan with this news sent a wave of panic through him. Pulling himself together, he announced, "Anyone who can tell us what happened inside the secret realm will be richly rewarded by the Qi family." His voice, amplified by true energy, reached every ear. The offer caught people's attention, and eyes turned to the Qi family. Tong Qing frowned. Life and death inside the secret realm are up to fate, and grudges can't be carried out here. You know that, right? The point of opening the secret realm was to find talent. Everyone risked their lives participating. If background mattered, they might as well just hand out the top-grade evil spirit to the strongest families. In theory, all bets were off once you stepped inside. "Captain Tong, we just want to know what happened." "Nothing more," the middle-aged warrior said smoothly. Driven by the promise of a reward, warriors approached the Qi family with information, but none of it was useful. No one knew who had gotten their hands on the top-grade evil spirit. Only a few had even tried to claim it, and Li Ming had taken care of them all. After coming out of the secret realm, Li Ming found Lu Tian, the leader of the Six Gates. Seeing that Li Ming was safe, and appeared to have gotten away unscathed, Lu Tian smiled. And said, "It seems that you have gained a lot." Li Ming said modestly, "It's okay, it can be regarded as barely meeting expectations." Seeing that Li Ming didn't say much, Lu Tian said, "The Qingyun sword sect has severed its relationship with Su Yuanyuan and compensated some things. I put them in the Six Gates first. You can come and get them when you are free." This time he came to support because he was afraid that Su Yuanyuan would directly attack and kill Li Ming. Lu Tian paused for a moment and said, "What are your plans after that?" Li Ming said without hesitation, "I want to go to the state capital after breaking through the golden elixir." Lu Tian nodded and said in a deep voice, "Then you can live in my house these days, and you can also come to the Six Gates to do something during the day, just in case." Li Ming clasped his fists and said, "That's exactly what I want. Thank you, Chief Constable Lu." Li Ming was overjoyed. Chief Constable Lu is worthy of being the Chief Constable, and he is thoughtful. After all, it is easier to avoid an open attack than to defend against an arrow from the dark. He has offended quite a few people. Not to mention the Qi family and the Lin family. Su Yuanyuan is watching him. Moreover, he has now completed the condensation of evil spirits, so it will not take much effort to achieve perfection. it is time to prepare to condense the martial arts golden elixir. This requires a safe place. The Six Gates is actually a relatively loose organization. Although it also has the responsibility of maintaining public order, it has nothing to do with senior constables. As a gold medal constable, his status is naturally not low, and he only needs to complete the necessary task quota. His previous achievements have barely completed the quota for 1 year. These days, he can practice with peace of mind. There is no rush to go to the state capital. His current strength may be considered a master in a county, but the tasks and things he will face when he goes to the state capital are different. Changzhou is extremely vast. It is located in the north of Daxuan, far away from Xianxia and close to the border. Martial arts are popular, and bandits are constantly coming. After the court dealt with a batch, another batch would emerge after a while. Changzhou is a land of mountains and forests, with many bandits, green forest heroes and the devil thieves who come here to stir up trouble. Throughout the ages, Changzhou has been recognized as a gathering place for ambitious people. Whenever there is trouble, they will rebel. Although Daxuan is peaceful on the surface, there are undercurrents in secret. Many cases that the local Six Gates cannot handle can only be asked to the Six Gates of the state capital to take action. Therefore, there are many things to do in the Six Gates of the state capital, and there are generally not enough people. Therefore, even if the detectives have completed their quota, if they encounter something, if there is no special reason, they still have to go, not to mention that he is also a skydropped head of the police. If he does not have enough strength, it is difficult to convince the public. After Li Ming emerged, he located Lu Tian, head of the Six Gates. Seeing him safe and seemingly unscathed, Lu Tian grinned. "Looks like you had a successful run." "Not bad," Li Ming replied modestly. "Met my expectations, I guess." Seeing Li Ming hold back, Lu Tian said, "The Qingyun sword sect broke ties with Su Yuanyuan and offered some compensation. I stashed it at the Six Gates. Grab it when you're free." Lu Tian had come to support Li Ming in the first place because he feared that Su Yuanyuan would attack and kill Li Ming directly. Lu Tian paused. "What's next for you?" "State capital, after I break through to Golden Core," Li Ming said without hesitation. Lu Tian nodded gravely. "Then stay at my place for now. You can even lend a hand at the Six Gates during the day. Just in case." Li Ming clasped his fists. "Exactly what I was hoping for. Thanks, Chief Constable Lu." Li Ming was thrilled. Lu Tian was a real professional, always thinking ahead. After all, he'd rather avoid an attack than defend against one. He'd made his share of enemies. The Qi and Lin families were only the start. He still had to watch out for Su Yuanyuan. Plus, now that he'd channeled evil spirit, perfecting it wouldn't take much longer. It was time to focus on condensing his martial arts golden core, and that required a safe space. The Six Gates was a pretty laid-back organization. They kept the peace, but senior constables were mostly left alone. As a gold medal constable, Lu Tian had decent clout, and only had to meet a quota for cases. His previous accomplishments filled that quota for a year. Now Li Ming could train in peace. He wasn't in a rush to go to the state capital. He might be a big fish in the county, but the state capital was a different game. Changzhou was vast. It sat in the north of Daxuan, far from Xianzhou near the border. Martial arts were popular, and bandits were everywhere. The court would crack down, only for another batch to sprout up later. Changzhou was a land of mountains and forests, full of bandits, green forest heroes, and rogue martial artists stirring up trouble. Throughout history, Changzhou had been a gathering place for those with ambitions, a breeding ground for rebellion. Daxuan might seem peaceful, but it was a hotbed of unrest. The local Six Gates couldn't handle many cases, so they needed the state capital's help. The Six Gates in the state capital was always swamped. Even if detectives met their quota, they still had to jump in unless they had a good excuse. Not to mention, he was a skydrop chief constable. Without real strength, he wouldn't earn respect. Chapter 79. Go to the God of Wealth Pavilion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Family Ancestral Hall. "Sir, Li Ming's been holed up at the Lu Mansion for days. We can't get a thing out of him," the Lin family's old housekeeper reported gravely. "Worthless. Absolutely worthless. You're telling me a nobody like Li Ming has you stumped?" Lin Sanghai's face twisted with rage. He lashed out, kicking at the ground. But after a moment, his gaze fell on Lin Sun's memorial tablet, and a wave of grief washed over him, bringing tears to his eyes. He turned away abruptly. Damn it! Sun's dead and gone, why isn't this guy? Lin Sanghai swung his hand, smashing a nearby rock garden to pieces. They'd been digging for information, of course. They'd learned that Lin Sun had joined the Qi family's expedition. But how they'd all met their end remained a mystery. Still, though he had no proof, Lin Sanghai strongly suspected Li Ming was involved. After all, the Lin family and he had bad blood, and Lin Sun might have died because of it. That's why he'd sent men to tail him, hoping to uncover something. Seeing Lin Sanghai's mounting fury, the old housekeeper quickly cautioned, "Master, don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Even if we had proof, we couldn't move against him directly. Stepping into the secret realm is basically signing a death waiver. If we attacked him, it would hand the Six Sects the perfect excuse. Those vultures have been collecting evidence, trying to shake down the major families." Lin Sanghai knew the truth of his words. The murderous gleam in his eyes faded, replaced by a feeling of helplessness. He understood the rules of the game. They got away with a lot as long as they kept things quiet. But Li Ming, a gold-badge constable for the Six Sects, was no small fry. They couldn't just waltz in and do whatever they pleased. That would cross a line. Though he was the head of the Lin family, he couldn't act alone. Damn it, we should have never skimped on the cultivation suppression. Even though that high-grade evil-dispelling stone is expensive, it's not like we couldn't afford it. Lin Sanghai was consumed with regret. Now he was paying the price, saving money but losing his son, and Li Ming was a dangerous loose end. He'd made a powerful enemy, and who knew how he'd seek revenge. However, I do have some good news to report. Oh. Spill it. Lin Sanghai looked up, surprised. This Li Ming ran wild in the secret territory, stepping on a lot of toes, plus, he's a court official. A lot of people would love to see him gone. He's high on the Jianghu hit list. These killer organizations are interested, and the Lin family can always lend a hand. The old housekeeper chuckled. Lin Sanghai stroked his beard, nodded, and said, "That's right. With so many parties involved, as long as we keep our hands clean, who's to say the Lin family had anything to do with it? Contact them immediately. I can't wait to hear news of his demise." "Yes, sir." Early the next morning, at the Lu mansion, Li Ming swallowed another pill and began his exercises. The turbulent energy within him gradually subsided. He felt the improvement to his cultivation in his body. Opening the panel, he saw, realm, 9th level of Ning Gang, only a few days, and he was already approaching perfection. Given the time, he should be able to break through. As expected of him, you had to train day and night. Time to prepare for the elixir condensation. Li Ming stood up to leave the Lu mansion. He stood at the door, sensing eyes on him. His spiritual body had sharpened his senses. With magic shot, he was extra aware of the energy around him. Looks like there are a few rats lurking. Li Ming knew the drill. After the secret realm, he'd become a person of interest, and people wanted to know who the winner was. It wasn't hard to figure out through a process of elimination. Li Ming was a prime suspect. Spies had been milling around, hoping to glean some info. He had stayed in seclusion. It was almost dusk, but the streets were still bustling. Vendors called out. Warriors with swords on their backs strode past. Leaving the Lu mansion street, Li Ming headed for the God of Wealth Pavilion. But he was stopped by a group of people. He was confused, but these men looked happy, as if they'd completed a task. "Master Li, our master has heard of your renown. He insists you grace us with your presence." One of the young men said respectfully. "Our master said you could bring your maids with you, too. There will be wine and food aplenty." Another chimed in. "Sir, our family is also." Li Ming got the picture. These guys wanted to befriend him, riding on the coattails of his talent. Lu Tian must have helped brush off the others, but some were still around. After all, it was their master's orders. Li Ming sighed, too lazy to shoo them away. I accept the invitation, now go. Whether I actually attend will depend on if I'm free. They looked at each other, sensing Li Ming's impatience. They bowed and left, but he still felt a gaze on him. Li Ming frowned, pretending not to notice. He kept walking. He turned down an alley and headed for a restaurant. A man in green followed immediately. When he looked for Li Ming, he was gone. Where did he go? Who? Before he could react, his wrist was in a vice. Li Ming stared at the man in green, sneering. Looking for me, his face was stern, even with the hint of a smile. This guy's cultivation wasn't high, only at the Qi training stage. How'd he follow him? The man in green pretended to be oblivious, but he was terrified. Sir, I just came here for a drink. What's wrong with that? Really? Li Ming grabbed him and hauled him into an empty alley. He threw him against the wall, sending gravel tumbling. What? Still not talking, Li Ming's eyes turned cold, fixed on the man in green. He'd been followed, even though the other guy was trying to hide his presence. If the other guy wanted something, he would have come out like the others. Why follow him? Sir. The man in green tried to smile. Cut the crap. Li Ming punched him. The punch wasn't strong, but he channeled energy into the man's body. The man in green coughed, pain on his face. His organs were shifting. His energy was going haywire. It was the worst pain he'd ever felt. I'll talk. Spare me. Who sent you? Li Ming asked. The Lin family. They hired me. I swear, I don't have anything to do with them. The man in green blurted out everything. Li Ming had learned to read people, and he also had spiritual eyes, which made him better at reading people. The other guy seemed to be telling the truth. It was the Lin family again. Li Ming was starting to wonder if these guys had a death wish. So what if Lin Sun died? He was being merciful, and they wanted to retaliate. Get out. Li Ming pushed him away, leaving him on the ground. This energy would linger for 7 days. I hope everything goes well at the God of Wealth Pavilion. Li Ming muttered. Chapter 80 The Valuable Li Ming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xianxia County, at the Wealth God Pavilion. Out on the street, people bustled around, and pickpockets were working the crowd, but Li Ming, radiating even a little bit of his power and looking sharp in his 6 doors uniform and Pavilion gold robe, was clearly someone you didn't mess with. These thieves weren't dumb. They knew who they could shake down and who they couldn't. Li Ming walked into the Wealth God Pavilion and saw a long line. No surprise there. Usually, you had to verify your ID before doing anything at the Wealth God Pavilion, like going to the bank back in the day. A total hassle. Buying anything top shelf meant jumping through hoops, but that wasn't a problem for Li Ming anymore. Times had changed. The moment he showed up, a maid appeared and led him away with a respectful bow. He was quickly ushered into a private room reserved for VIPs. No waiting in line, no ID checks. In a heartbeat, a voice called out from outside the door. Brotherly, you had me waiting. Kaisher-san, still as round and shiny-faced as ever, waddled into the room. Seeing Li Ming was like seeing a long-lost brother. Brother Kai, it's been a minute. Li Ming returned the greeting with a fist. Name, Kaisher-san. Realm, 9th level of Ning Gang. Entry, Wealth, Blue, Intelligence, Green, Sociability, White, Healthy, White, Alertness, White, Money changes everything. Li Ming sighed inwardly. He'd risked life and limb to get where he was, while this guy, and if he remembered right, Kaisher-san's wealth score used to be cyan, but now it's blue. This is the way to print money, but that's what angel investing is. It won't work if you don't have a little courage. If Li Ming died in the secret territory, he would suffer a big loss. Congrats, brother Li. Your haul from that bloody secret realm must have been insane. Kaisher-san grinned, his eyes squeezed into tiny slits. Standing close to Li Ming, he beamed and said, if you hadn't come to see me, I might have had to come find you. Li Ming raised an eyebrow. Oh. You mean, you're getting transferred, too? Kaisher-san's position wasn't trivial. After all, not many people in the Wealth God Pavilion were named Kai. Kaisher-san immediately straightened up. I've done good work in Xianxia County over the years, and your performance, brotherly, makes me look even better. I'll need you to show me the ropes when I get to Changzhou City. He laid on the flattery thick, and Li Ming couldn't help but feel a little puffed up. Alright, let's eat something. Kai Shisan waved for a maid and ordered a feast, along with a few jugs of good wine. Li Ming hadn't intended to stay, but Kai Shisan was insistent. Wine loosened tongues and built relationships, plus, Kai Shisan was observant and a smooth talker, so the two hit it off. Li Ming eventually got around to his request, handing over a detailed list of what he needed. He also said he was open to substitutes. Kai Shisan's eyes widened, and he clapped his chest. No sweat. Whatever you need, brotherly, I'll get it for you ASAP. Li Ming looked at his bravado. Better take a look first. Sure. Kai Shisan scanned the list, frowned, and scratched his head. These are going to take some time to gather. It's not gonna be quick. He hadn't realized it would be like that. All of these are rare things. If Li Ming wasn't serious, he would have thought the other party was teasing him. Does this damn Ningden need these things? Li Ming nodded. He knew these items wouldn't be easy to find. That's fine. Just get what you can. If you can't get everything, let me know. See if this covers the costs. He pulled out a storage bag and handed it over. It was filled with resources he didn't need, some earned through blood and sweat, others gifted by his supporters. Kai Shisan carefully calculated the value. After a moment, he said, if I take the market price, this is worth over 500 yuan. Seriously, Li Ming was surprised. Yuan Jing was valuable. It contained the vitality of heaven and earth and was extremely important for the cultivation of the middle and upper third levels. Without enough Yuan Jing, unless you are in those special circumstances, your cultivation progress will be very slow. Yuan Jing can only be produced by those big forces, because most of the Yuan Jing mineral veins are not in this world. Only those gods and demon level forces can produce them. This can be described as a strategic resource. Many veteran golden elixir masters in casual cultivation may not have 50 yuan crystals. Normally, a portion of the cheapest elixir condensation liquid, which is the auxiliary material that everyone needs for elixir condensation, only costs 10 yuan crystals. Generally speaking, 50 yuan crystals are enough for one person to cultivate the golden elixir. Of course, that is the breakthrough need of the poor. Generally speaking, the better the pill condensation method, the more valuable the things needed. Kai Shisan provides it at cost price, which requires more than 500 yuan of crystals, which is something ordinary warriors dare not think of. When exchanging with silver, it takes several thousand taels of silver to exchange for one piece, and it is often priceless but not marketable. According to reality, the ratio is only high but not low. Li Ming also has Yuan Jing on his body now, all contributed by the Qi family, no more, no less, exactly 100 pieces, which is considered a huge sum of money. No wonder so many people risk their necks in the bloody secret realm. He finally got it. The wages of avarice is death. With a payout like that, who wouldn't take the risk? Then how much will I owe you for my stuff? Li Ming asked. Kai Shisan hesitated. Value-wise, about the same, but I can't guarantee I'll find everything on your list. It's cool. I'll check it out when you get it. If it's short, I'll make up the difference. Li Ming wasn't worried. He couldn't afford to be careless. This was his future on the line. Plenty of people cut corners and missed their chance to level up. After all, fixing things later would cost way more than doing it right now. They talked a while longer. Li Ming was about to head out. Kai Shisan then received a message from his boss, frowning. Brotherly, watch your back. You might be in danger. Oh. Why? Li Ming wondered what kind of trouble he could be in. He hadn't been out much lately, so who could he have pissed off? Wait, would those families actually try to off him in public? Or was Su Yuanyuan getting ready to settle the score? He hadn't heard from her in a while. Had she recovered? Seeing Li Ming's confusion, Kai Shisan's eyes narrowed with concern. You're talented and strong, brotherly, and you killed it in the secret realm, but tall trees catch the wind, and some people are jealous enough to want to bring you down. In this world, there's always light and darkness. In the light, there's the court and the wealth god Pavilion, and then there's the dark side. You've heard of the underground ghost market. right? Li Ming nodded. Of course he'd heard of the ghost market. It was global, created by forces unknown, and it moved locations constantly, making it a lawless free-for-all. People bought and sold stolen goods, even illegal stuff. The court tried to control it at first, but it got too complicated, and eventually they gave up. Now, it was a monster, Kai Shirsan went on. Most people don't realize that the ghost market isn't just about selling hot merchandise. There are killer organizations that pool resources and create a hit list. If someone pays, anyone can end up on that list. There are plenty of reasons to be on the list, and not everyone on it is a bad guy. They're just someone people hate. The money's already spent, so there's no getting off. And don't underestimate that list. Even martial saints have been taken out. Li Ming sighed. So, I'm on the list, and I'm worth a lot of money. Kai Shirsan nodded, worried. That's right. I heard you're going for 200 yuan, and a bunch of golden core assassins are after you. Damn, so I'm valuable, Li Ming said with a shrug. You could say that. Ordinary golden core experts don't have that kind of price on their heads. Kai Shirsan smiled. Li Ming said slowly, to be honest, I almost want to sell myself. After saying goodbye to Kai Shirsan, Li Ming stepped out of the Wealth God Pavilion. Night had fallen, the moon was a sliver in the sky, the wind had picked up. Looks like tonight's gonna be interesting.